よく来たね、ランプログの。した顔をしている。
それはどうも。僕も意外でしたよ。定律魔法学園の長がまさか亜人だったとは。
その故障は気に入らないね。私らは人に次ぐ種族じゃない。まだ魔族と呼ばれた方がいいくらいさ。
So this episode is all too common in anime. This is episode number 5 of The Strongest Exorcist. And based on this episode, this is what I'm going to deem and what I've been calling kind of like for the past couple of years now. This is what I call one of the transitional episodes. So these are one of those episodes that are important for the anime holistically, but aren't the exact most exciting or best episodes when watched on a weekly cadence. Now, for the people who are here for the first time, if for some reason you clicked on this and you're watching the episode 5 review, and this is where you decide to jump in the channel, hey, thank you so much. Make sure you hit like and, of course, subscribe for our content. But one of the things that I kind of always harp on each and every season of anime is, there is anime that is created for the weekly viewer, right? And I would put really hype anime like most recently we have Eminence's Shadow. I would put most shonen anime here, most newer shonen anime, right? Like the older anime like Naruto, Boruto, One Piece, they're like filler galore. They don't quite fit this, but like most more recent shonen anime, I will put them in these categories. And you have two different types of anime. You have one that are built to be watched weekly, right? They consistently deliver hype things to watch on a weekly basis. And then you have other anime that releases weekly because that's just how episodes release in Japan. But really, these are episodes that are more complemented when they are surrounded by other episodes. So what I mean by that is, like this episode here, we had some good informational things that happen, and this is really a setup episode for what's going to kind of really come next. We got the first fight of the tournament. We got the tournament introduced to us, but the reality of it is that, this is more of a setup episode for the next things that are going to really, the next dominoes that are really going to be falling over, as opposed to, this episode being like, oh, wow, this episode was so good. It's more of an informational, transitional, complementary episode to other episodes that if you were to watch all of them at once, this episode wouldn't stand out to you at all. But this is one of those ones that always tends to stand out to me because we're watching it and reviewing per episode, right? And I'm not reviewing the series. I'm reviewing episode 1, 2. In this case, I'm reviewing episode 5. And then we kind of slap on a rating. So this was like a 6 or 7 out of 10 episodes. It was just okay. Really good informational episode. Really good to set up the next kind of arc, the next thing that we're dealing with with the anime, really dropping little subtle hints, for things to come. But again, when you're just simply watching it on a weekly basis, it's not exactly the most hype or exciting episode. So I want to get that out of the way. I would say 6.5. Oh, we'll go 6.5 out of 10 for this episode. It was just an okay episode. Nothing really spectacular here, but what it did was a few different things. It set up the next arc. Well, let me go this way, actually. Let me start from the top. It's set up that a year has passed, okay? It's set up that during this year, nothing major has happened outside of them going to school, becoming stronger, getting closer between Amu, between Ifa, between Seika, okay? It is solidified, and this was even said by Yami, I think her name is, the fox Shikigami that he has with him at all times. The one that he summoned, even her, she said during this year, you've really kind of like, you've relaxed a lot. Like basically he had high guard all the time and he's kind of like laxed down, been a little bit more free. And basically he's created more openings for him to kind of get attacked or stuff like that. So it set up that. We met the principal, who we learned is a demi-human, demi-devil, whatever she wants to call herself. She's a dwarf, so the school is not ran by a traditional human. We learned that. We learned that he has an uncle. Again, informational. Boring, informational though. He had an uncle who he resembles quite a bit. Apparently, the dwarf had some ongoings with them. He had no idea he had an uncle. He didn't even know his dad had brothers or anything. So that it set up that, okay? Then the next thing on top of that, number 6, the next thing is it introduced Mabel, right? So we have another character that caught his interest, caught his peak. It introduced this character, handpicked by the principal. Okay, so it introduced that. It introduced the sword tournament that he's going to participate in. It could have been between him, and it could have been between Ifa. He decided to kind of take this one on because he's interested in Mabel, and she piqued his interest, okay? Like, kind of like, if you see a dog across the street and you're like, that's a cute dog. I wonder if it's lost. Normally, you just keep walking. If it's cute enough, you're like, I'm going to go. That's my dog now. Kind of did the same thing. Good for him. So he piqued interest. Then we go to the capital. We start the sword tournament. And we see that he's the first fight. During the first fight, obliterates them. We get the thing to where it's like, his Shikigami is telling him, like, hey, you're using too much power. You're showing off too much. You're standing out too much. Again, set up for things to come. It's going to bite him in the ass. The other thing, we have a really cool joke that happened between Amo. She had a jerk-off joke. That was funny. Thought that was really cool. Then the next thing is we found an evil eye wielder. So this apparently evil eye wielders in this world or in his past world were wielders who could hex in an instant. They can cause a curse or instant hex in an instant based on their evil eye. So he's definitely going to have some additional run-ins with people and stuff here in this sword tournament. So again, giving us hints of what's to come. And then we see Mabel getting ready for her next fight. So that's the thing. That's the setup that's going to be coming next, kind of be coming around the corner for all of us here as well. So again, it's that transitional setup episode. So I think this was a good episode. It was just very informational, at times a little bit boring, but it did set up a good amount of things to come. Wasn't hype, wasn't overly excited about it, but it just was good to set up things that are set to come. So overall, really good episode. Again, 6.5 out of 10. Informational galore. Hype, a little bit less. Overall, still good, still enjoyable. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. I will see you guys next week. Next week, I do imagine it is going to be hype because we're going to get in the midst of this sword tournament. And let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comments below. If you have nothing to say, drop me an emoji so I know that you are seeing me, seeing you, seeing me. All right, see you guys next week. Peace.